How you like my little hat, brothers and sisters? Yeah, it's my chef's hat. I told y'all to be thinking I'm a Muslim when I got it on. Oh yeah, we got to go in today. We got to act up. So don't mind that. Ignore that. Let's start sharing this screen immediately because it's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take a lot of work. We're gonna do a lot of reading. We have to just bear with it, brother. For real, for real. Give me 1 second. It's gonna be a lot of reading. And we'll start in what's most recent and we'll kind of work our way back through. So we're gonna start with the Israel Army Chief pledges Iran response. And let's be 100,000. I didn't know blahs was gonna happen. I'm not allowing nothing Al Jazeera. I'm good. That shit about cookies will stay right there. Let me view you in the YouTube tab quick. Okay. Is that big enough? Let me scroll down and see. Touch it down there. Okay, that's cool. Back to the title. And we all know what this is about. Russia, Iran, China, the Il Khanate, you know, the Khanate Empire. You know, like the dudes who came out of nowhere and took over all that part of the earth, and they had a central hub, and you could claim the central hub was in Manchuria, but the real main power of idealism and who actually accomplished a stance in ways that other people couldn't even perceive, you know, and then just natural positioning. So even if their land doesn't produce a lot of things, it produces this one thing that's being used now. So you could always, and I'm not gonna say argue, but you could just contend Iran's point more than, let's say, the Chinese point. And if I'm not mistaken, uh, it's the Golden Army, the White Army, and like the Lotus Army or some shit like that. You know what I mean? But there was the three different groups between the groups that each one of them were actually known for, you know, their own band of warriors. But back to the initial thing. Reach out and touch somebody, right? That's what it's called. I'm pretty sure. This video is called Reach Out and Touch Somebody. Damn sure. Rick. And my thing is that I was gonna do what I was gonna say, what I was gonna say, but their actions changed what I was gonna say. Like, you know, like you you can be geared up to do one thing and then something take place and you're like, okay, well that just changed everything. So they changed the entire itinerary of my message. Um, so much so that I had to delay everything so that way I could put together a coherent lesson, if you will. So now here we are. Let's read this. Israel Army Chief pledges Iran response as Western countries urge restraint. Now Israel talking about reaching out, touching somebody, even though they're the ones who jumped all this up. Barring October 7th, when Hamas, people can claim that that was the greatest military whatever in modern history, it really wasn't because as opposed to these individuals staying and fighting in the land of Israel, they retreated to their homes and put their own people in danger. That's cowardly. That's not manly. Right on? We're talking about like these aren't this isn't in the day of catapults and giant giant like like battering rams. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit is different. You know, not to say that people didn't die all the same back then, because when you get killed, you get killed. So I'm not gonna try to split hairs. I'm just saying that there's the witchcraft that's used now is greater, and the ability to reach out and touch somebody is greater. Hamas failed by not staying in Israel and fighting in Israel and just actually getting killed to the man. Every last one of them dying, and then it would have given the Gazans legitimate, plausible deniability. We had no idea. We had no idea. Right? These dudes want to live stream it and be okay. Go ahead and look what it's got them. It's got 40,000. Listen, anytime you have thousands of people under the rubble who were not being accounted for and the casualties and the deaths, those people are dead. It's been 6 months. How many of y'all are going 6 months without food and water? Tell me. And if you're thinking something cockamamie in your head, like how do you know they haven't been getting food and water? Because the modern Gazans who are still on the strip, who haven't been ran off, they're struggling to eat and drink every day. Neither here nor there. Now, that being said, reaching out and touching somebody, Iran said that they practice excellent restraint, great restraint. Some truth to that. But this article we shall read is going to allow you to understand that this country called Israel, who I've already contended that their actual true deity they worship at this moment is the American government. That's their God right now. Not the Most High God of Moses, of Abraham, like their lips would allow you to hear to your ears. They actually worship the American government because that's how they're able to do everything that they do. Just take away the American government and all those other governments could help. And after their money started looking funny, they would have told Israel, "You're on your own." The only nation that might be stupid enough through guilt to hold Israel's hand is Germany. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu summoned his war cabinet for the second time in less than 24 hours on Monday. Listen, y'all, what's today? Monday, today. This is the 15th of April. This is updated 2 hours ago. This is fresh and hot off the press. Okay. We coming with some right now type of stuff. I'm sorry I don't have a in the moment update, but at least we got this. The head of Israel's military has said the country would respond to Iran's weekend attack as several Western countries urged Israel to avoid an escalation of the conflict in the Middle East. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu summoned his war cabinet for the second time in less than 24 hours on Monday over Iran's missile and drone attack. Israel's military chief of staff, Halevi, Halevi, said his country would respond but did not provide details. This launch of so many missiles, cruise missiles, and drones into Israeli territory will be met with a response, he said at the Nevatim Air Base in southern Israel. Iran's attack, launched in retaliation. Listen, it doesn't say Iran's retaliation. They call it an attack. An attack. To be specific, I'm saying that when you say I attacked you and you don't give a preface to what led up to my so called attack, but my attack is actually a retaliation, it's more or less retribution. And in some people's eyes, justice. So I didn't attack you in retaliation. My retaliation is a natural response that should be given to any fucking hostility. Let's keep going though. Iran's attack, launched in retaliation for an Israeli strike on its embassy compound in Damascus earlier this month, has increased fears of open warfare between Israel and Iran and heightened concerns that violence rooted in Israel's war on Gaza is spreading further in the region. We're on the edge of the cliff and we have to move away from it. Josep Borrell, the European Union's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, told Spanish radio station Onda Cero, Onda Cero, Onda Cero. Here we go. Onda. We have to step on the brakes and reverse gear. We gotta back the fuck up, bro. I feel you, dog. I hear you, big homie. French President Emmanuel Macron, who's been stoking flames, not with Gaza, but with the shit over there in Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and United Kingdom Foreign Secretary David Cameron made similar appeals, echoing calls for restraint by Washington and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Neither the region nor the world can afford more war, Guterres said late on Sunday. Now is the time to defuse and de-escalate. See, when they don't use words like disarm, that's the problem. Russia has refrained from criticizing its ally, Iran, in public over the strikes, but expressed concern about the risk of escalation on Monday and also called for restraint. Further escalation is in no one's interest. That is, nigga, we will reach out and touch somebody. No? Maybe I'm mistaken. Belgium and Germany summoned the Iranian ambassadors over the attack in which Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles that the Israeli military said were nearly all intercepted. Most of the missiles and drones were shot down by Israel's Iron Dome defense system and with help from the US, UK, France, and Jordan. So 4 other nations had to get involved to really completely stop. I don't care if most of them were stopped by the Iron Dome. I don't care. Man, listen. I don't care if the U.S., U.K., France, and Jordan all stopped one drone apiece. I do not care. Here's the thing. Iran doing that was so fucking gangster, dude. Anyway, like it just, listen, for everybody whose butthole puckered up and got real tight and now you can't squeeze a fart out, listen, I've been talking about this for a long time. Okay, I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. I didn't just start talking about it when I started talking about RIC, but RIC gave me a platform, a series to speak on these things, the ilkhanate as it was. Because I believe that there's a way that I can express what I'm saying without being belligerent. I haven't been being belligerent. A vulgarity is not me being belligerent. Vulgar, but not belligerent. Now, I'm saying Iran reaching out, trying to touch dudes. Don't worry. Iran wanted military members from Israel to die. Y'all forget, before Qasem Soleimani was assassinated, there was another scientist whose name I cannot think of right away, but the Israelis used a drone on a truck to assassinate that man whom they said was in charge of Iran's nuclear program. He was like one of the masterminds behind it. Now, when we read this, and it says the attack, just pick back up. The attack came in response. It's not an attack. The attack is a response. Okay? The response came in the form of a so-called, if you slap me and I slap you back, at what point do you not get to say, how can I have attacked you? You did this to me. It's not so. You can say eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, blood for blood, life for life, and that is the law. Listen, I'm saying on the level of, if you don't believe in none of that, if you slap me in the face and you cut my face, right on, and I slap you back, but when I slapped you, you had a full-blown football helmet on, right? None of your flesh actually was touched by this slap. What are you complaining about? Number one, it is it's tantamount to me being in a room where there's the two-way glass or whatever, right? And you can see them and they can't see you. And me punching at it, I can't get to you, but you know I'm on the other side, right? Okay, yeah. I'm cutting my hand up, breaking my hand up, trying to harm you, but I haven't proved anything. I haven't done anything. You slapped my face and literally left a permanent scar on it. And yeah, it's gonna heal. Okay. But you know what? You cannot tell me as the aggressor. I didn't say attacker, as the aggressor, the initial aggressor, that my response and aggression is a forward attack. When I could easily say I'm defending myself. I have to break this down as I read this part because these anytime they say that, I have to push back on that. The attack came in response to an Israeli airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus on April 1, which killed 7 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, including 2 generals. So, really, if this is based on Israel's law, yo, listen, see, because Israel, their law over there, right? If that was 2 Israeli generals, and let's just say there was 2 poop butt privates, a sergeant, a staff sergeant, and a major, right? Okay, boom, check this out. Who cares? The fact that you killed 2 Israeli generals, what? Nigga, they would try to raise your nation over that. But they're able to punk on the little Gazans because they don't have nothing. Anyway, fears of regional escalation. Tehran's retaliatory attack on Israel, at least they say retaliatory, but it shouldn't even be. It should just be Tehran's retaliation on Israel has heightened concerns that violence will spread further in the region. Instead, it's Tehran's retaliatory attack on Israel has heightened concerns that violence will spread further in the region. If you say retaliation, I'm pretty sure we understand that retaliation means action. I could take them saying they took action against Israel. I could take that. Taking action against me does not mean you attack me. Now, I may feel attacked, but if I've done something in the past that warrants this activity, the concept of an attack is make believe at best. It's nonsensical. It is nonsensical drivel to tell somebody who understands how these things work that you attack them, even though you did something in the beginning. A woman gets raped, sees her attacker in the bar, speaking to another woman, walks up and busts on this dude's whole forehead a cue ball from the damn pool. I mean, crushes him with everything she got. You could say she attacked him, but really though, that's her. That's just a little bit of get back. She deserves to kill him, but let's just say she just crushes him with that one hit. Who is he to say that? Who is he to say she attacked me? Knowing full well that you violated this woman in a way that she can never fully recover from. That's what I'm saying. Like you you can't remove yourself from your actions. If you do fucked up shit, if I lie on you, see, and my God said that the tongue holds life and death, right? Better yet, if I lie on myself and get myself killed. I did that to me. You didn't do that to me. I did that to myself because I was unwise and I was foolish enough to believe that by lying on myself or by taking credit for something that I had not done, that I may possibly be rewarded. And what I was rewarded with was the end of my soul. Come on, and the rending of this spirit from the flesh. Now, I say these things so that way people understand. Rick is reaching out and touching people. We're gonna read some stuff about the Russians too. Wary of the dangers. U.S. President Joe Biden has told Netanyahu, has told Bibi, that Washington will not take part in any Israeli counteroffensive against Iran. Since the start of Israel's war on Gaza in October, clashes have erupted between Israel and Iran-lying groups in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and Iraq. Now, now when we read this part, I'm going to have to go over what I know did not happen. Israel says it's seeking to destroy the Palestinian group Hamas after it led an attack. So you're Iranian aligned, but they're a Palestinian group. Understand that right there. Hear what they just tried to do. They're saying that Hamas is totally aligned with Iran. It can't just be that all these guys are Muslims. That could not be the case. And that because they believe in jihad, there's a general level of support or a general consensus that we'll do our best not to infight while we fight against the infidels. That's my understanding of how they look at anybody not a Muslim, especially not a believer in what they believe in. Because I don't believe Muhammad is a prophet. I believe he's a whole bunch of things, not a prophet, and none of them good. The only good thing I can say is that by everybody having their own religions, it makes the Bible real. It doesn't make it fake. It makes the Torah Septuagint, the Pentateuch. It makes it, at least gives it life. That there's people that worship different gods other than the God that's mentioned in the Hebrew history. Israel said it is seeking to destroy the Palestinian group Hamas after it led an attack. After it led an attack on October 7th, killing at least 1,139 people, mostly civilians, according to an Al Jazeera tally based on Israeli statistics, and taking more than 250 captives. Okay. This is based on Israeli stats. Let's just say it was the original. Remember when they were saying it was like 1,500 or 1,700 or some shit like that? It was a ridiculous number that they said had got killed. Let's just say it was 1,500 for sure. Do y'all realize that we can give half those kills to the Israeli government, to the IDF? Not just based on the Hannibal doctrine, but just based on the fact that you have accounts that these gentlemen said that they have no idea who they were firing on. Okay. Furthermore, again, this goes back to my criticism of Hamas. How can Hamas be? Why would Iran not take the chance to send people all the way into Tel Aviv, to send your people as far in as you can get them to sabotage as much as you can? Maybe, let's say, sabotage the Iron Dome defense system, right? And make Israel super vulnerable. And then make those dudes come back to the table of negotiation with so called Arab slash Muslim nations. Right. Because the only reason why they act like that is because they feel like if they are attacked, they have a way to fend off the attacks. Whereas if that was not okay, so imagine if Gaza had their own Iron Dome. Right. And imagine if Gaza, I don't know, had their own small air force that was like super duper elite. Imagine how different that makes this whole conflict. But you're attacking a group of individuals who do not have certain capabilities, and they're sequestered into a particular area because there is no way to retreat. All that's behind them is water. Just keep reading. More than 33,500 people mostly women and children, have been killed. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Have been killed in the Israeli assault on Gaza, according to the Palestinian authorities. And large parts of the territory have been reduced to rubble. Aid agencies have warned that parts of Gaza are facing a looming famine amid several Israeli restrictions on supplies of food and humanitarian aid. Let's go ahead and pop this right here real quick. I don't ever get no strikes from YouTube because I ain't copying nobody's shit. All this is for all my videos are listed as educational, just in case y'all didn't know that. Every time I make a stream, it's listed as educational. So I'll take a little second.
Iran's Operation True Promise is being viewed here as a resounding success that exceeded the expectation of the Revolutionary Guard. That's according to the head of Iran's IRGC. Now, the way that this news is being covered inside the country is that this was a historic event. Iran has been talking for over 4 decades about being able to respond to Israel, but this is the first time that they've actually carried out on the threats that they've made. There is a sense that this is a proud moment for Iranians because finally the establishment has decided to make good on their threats that they've been making by launching the missiles and drones towards Israel on Sunday morning. Now, according to the officials, they were not intending to hit any actual targets inside Israel. They were after military installations. And also, the foreign minister, Hossein Amir Abdullahian, has been saying that the whole point of the operation was to show Israel that there are consequences to their actions when they cross Iran's red lines. But the general public is now bracing for what could come next. Many people are worried that Israel will use this opportunity to launch an attack against Iran. And that is something people are certainly thinking about and how they could prepare for it. There really isn't any concrete way they can. People are continuing with their daily lives. And there is a sense that the Israelis will respond. When and how that will happen remains to be seen for the time being. Iranians are bracing for the worst.
That's one hit. Got a couple more to go before I'm sharing my 2 cents and my understanding on the situation. A moment. YouTube been doing some really weird stuff too. My last video was born in Houston or something like that. Again, let me repeat myself just in case this is one of those parts that they decide to play with. YouTube has been making it to where it's as if I didn't say certain things, or like there will be like a moment where it skips itself. Check me. We're talking about just reading to y'all. Right on. I only have 3 other open tabs. The internet works just fine. I game with the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like nah. So there's certain shit I just can't take. But like I said, my little chef's hat, got me in here looking like I could be the father of Aladdin or somebody, right? Check me. My whole point is this: we've got a lot to realize is happening. Rick is trying to reach out and touch people. I'm gonna read this too. Yeah. What's up? Okay, cool. I forgot to put that last link in there. I'll have to go back and get it. Not right this moment, but so that way people can go and read and get their own portion of understanding from it. And I'll get this other link in there too. You know. Ooh. There we go. See, people are. Let's say it like this: you have a lot of individuals who would like to be ahead of their time, and ahead of their time being like, I speak to like super extra, extremely serious things. You know, and I know a lot of people like to think that, oh, he's a Bible thumping ass nigga. This nigga's I'm not a Christian. Calling me that to my face would force me to have to punish you. Right on? Because you calling me a Christian is like me calling you like a pedophile or a rapist or, you know, something like that. That's out of line. Word. You feel me? Just because I hear you tell a bad joke and I'm like, oh, this nigga got to be a rapist. This nigga got to be a pedophile, even though that's your twisted, demented sense of humor. And I don't joke like that. You see what I'm saying? So just because I read the Bible does not make me a Christian. Just because you told a bad joke does not make you a fucking weirdo. Well, it makes you awkward, but it doesn't make you a complete fucking pervert. It just means that your taste in what you think is humor is questionable. Or maybe you really are this kind of individual. And it doesn't even have to be a heavy handed joke. It could just be the concept of the joke is perversion. Right on? You see what I'm saying? You know. And I know some jokes that are inappropriate, but they're funny. I know a few of them, but I never go out of my way to speak on those kind of things. I'm always me. But these other individuals who this is who they are, just like they don't never go out of like it's like they have a Bible at home, but they never read it. Right? Same difference. China Taiwan Weekly. Understand this is a understandingwar.org. Whoa. Gotta blow that back up. That wind. Okay, that's good. Nils Peterson, Matthew Spursel, and Daniel Schatz. What a name, dude. What a. Let's read these three names again: Nils Peterson, Matthew Spursel, and Daniel Schatz of the Institute for the Study of War. Editors: Dan Blumenthal and Frederick W. Kagan of the American Enterprise Institute. Date cutoff March 26 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The China Taiwan Weekly Update is a joint product from the Institute for the Study of War and the American Enterprise Institute. The update supports the ISWAEI Coalition Defense of Taiwan project, which assesses Chinese campaigns against Taiwan, examines alternative strategies for the United States and its allies to deter the Chinese Communist Party CCP aggression, and if necessary, defeat the People's Liberation Army, the PLA. Update The update focuses on the Chinese Communist Party's path to controlling Taiwan and cross Taiwan Strait developments. Key takeaways: Taiwanese media that former ROC president, Republic of one second, no, something of China, might be the Republic of China. I don't know. But let me look that up real quick. Let me pull you up because I ain't read this article yet. Whoa. Relax. Wait. Former. I'm gonna pull this guy up real quick. The wind is acting like a bitch. There we go. Let's see what that means real quick. Should still be on that page for y'all, exactly. Yeah, Republic of China. Okay, I wasn't tripping. I was pretty sure. Alrighty. Bang, bang. That former Republic of China president, Mao Ying-jeou, Mao Ying-jeou, something like that. Mao Ying-jeou, something like that, will meet CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping during a private visit to the PRC in April. I'm saying, people in the Republic of China, I'm pretty sure. The CCP may use the meeting to advance its preferred vision of cross-strait relations and legitimize the KMT as a negotiating partner on behalf of Taiwan. Now, stop right there. Um, lot was said. See, Xi Jinping has said out loud that they're trying to normalize relations with Taiwan, right? Now, me, as I look at it, I don't know if that's to really try to get Taiwan on their side or to just try to ambush, sneak attack Taiwan when they get just a little bit comfortable, let their guard down just a little bit, let out one secret too many. You know what I'm saying? Uh, the Chinese Coast Guard has normalized patrols around Kinmen since February 14th because the shit that happened, there was a fisherman that got killed by the Taiwanese Coast Guard or Navy or whatever. They shot up a fisherman's boat, killed the dude, maybe even two of them, but I know it was one dude for sure. Normalizing operations around Taiwan's waters set conditions for the PRC to further apply pressure on Taiwan in the future. ROC President Tsai Ing-wen declined to visit Taiwan-controlled Ituaba in the South China Sea before her term ends. The Tsai administration has cited regional personal security concerns in explaining Tsai's decision not to visit Ituaba. The United States, United Kingdom, and New Zealand accused PRC, People's Republic of China, state-sponsored cyber threat actors of conducting malicious cyber operations against democratic institutions. The Chinese Coast Guard is driving heightened tensions in the South Sea, while the PRC blames the Philippines and the United States for the crises. I want y'all to understand how bad it is in the Philippines. No, 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 listen. I need y'all to understand. China might not be all the way right with that claim, but they're not all the way wrong. And I need you guys to go ahead and look at this. So you guys can see what they're talking about. So this is the area where all them patrols are at. Right on. Boom. Old girl didn't want to visit this little spot that's over here. Now look, y'all, on this map, that don't look like a lot of water. Let me stress this kind of shit to y'all real quick, because niggas break a lot of information down to people. That perception is a motherfucker. But being there real time is a whole nother animal. Man, when you get this far in the water between you and some land, man, you praying to God that don't nothing go wrong with this vessel and that the best mechanics, the best technicians are the ones working on it and not the laziest, oldest, should have retired 8, 9, 10 years ago looking ass dude is on it. Or somebody who's just too wet behind the ears to know their back end from their face. It's crazy. So number 5 over here, back in this area, the Chinese Coast Guard is driving heightened tensions in the South Sea while the PRC blames the Philippines and the United States for the crises. Okay, so look, this is 2024. Okay, okay. If they're saying that each one of these look, if they're saying that each little dash line is 500 kilometers, right on, you're I don't know. I don't think that's what it's saying, but if that is, man, you talking about some traveling. But that's at least, you know, 1,000 right there just to get there. You know what I mean? Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on how you shoot the gap. But um, man, she said, "Look, I'm not going to fuck over there. I'm not doing it. Right on. She ain't trying to get killed. There was shit. She must have heard something through the grapevine, or there must be like she must have a legitimate reason to be concerned for her life. Because I need y'all to think about this. Why would you not go? Right. You go from enemies today to frenemies tomorrow. You know." Taiwanese media reported, cross-strait relations. Taiwanese media reported that the former ROC president, Ma Ying-jeou, will meet CCP General Xi Jinping during a planned private visit in the PRC in April. CEO of the Ma Ying-jeou Foundation and founder Ma Aid, I don't know how to say that name. Is that Jiao Su Tin? Jiao Su Sin? Xiao Shu Sin? Something like that, announced on March 25 that Ma will lead a delegation of students to the PRC on April 1 through April 11 to visit the gates in Guangdong, Shanxi, and Beijing. When asked if Ma would meet with Xiao, Xiao, I don't know how to say this dude's name. This shit's crazy. Xiao did not confirm the meeting, but hinted that Ma was hopeful to meet an old friend if PRC arrangements permitted. PRC Taiwan Affairs Office (TAO) spokesman Chin Buha Chin Chin Binhua said that the PRC welcomed Ma to participate in cultural activities, but did not mention any meetings with Xi or other CCP officials. Taiwan Storm Media reported on March 26 that former ROC President Ma Ying-jeou, will meet with CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping on April 8th during his visit, however. So April 8th already passed. So this is just recent though. This is like last week, literally last Sunday, right? And they're saying that they just met each. They're that's what Taiwan is saying. So this is what I'm saying about intel and what you know and what you don't know and what you do know. So let's just say that okay, both sides agree that there was some talks that he might come through there. One side is saying that it wasn't guaranteed. The other side is saying that it was on April 8th. Now that we're past April 8th, we'll have to I'll have to keep an eye on it, but people will see things about it. And if it comes up, then you'll know. You'll be like, oh, I heard that crazy ass name Meeks was talking about that dude. And I guess they did meet up. But the thing is that Taiwan doesn't want to feel like they're about to be pressured into nothing. But what China's trying to do is they're trying to show these dudes, like, look, bro, if it really jumps off, you guys are getting wiped out. It's not even a question like if, like, we're just gonna get rid of you dudes and wipe you out. I already know what kind of talk this kind of shit is. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, we're talking about like the shit could really jump off, but there could be a lot of saboteur, a lot of sabotage shit going on. So certain sides might get their shot off, other sides might not get their shot off because they got sabotage from the inside. You know what I mean? This is why structural integrity and maintenance is really the highest level of management and the highest level of kingmanship that one can show, because that means that your empire, your kingdom, your civilization will live on throughout the ages because you have a set of standards and rigor that you will not ever obey. However, that being said, let's get back to the reading. Ma last met Xi in Singapore in 2015 when Ma was ROC president. Oh yeah, man, he's trying to meet with his homie, man. It's been like 9 years. Oh, come on. Yeah. This was the first meeting between the leaders of the PRC and Taiwan. In March 2023, Ma became the first former Taiwanese president to visit the PRC, in a visit that overlapped the sitting Tsai Ing-wen's trip to the United States. Ma did not meet Xi on that visit, however. Didn't need to, because that would have been too damning. Clearly, there's people in Taiwan who want to be part of mainland China and feel like we should be part of China. It should, you feel me? Like we have a relationship, we have a history. Everything is not on the proper righteous up and up, but we can fix that. We can sit down at the table and we can hash that out, and we can all enforce honor. You know what I'm saying? Or die trying. Mao Ma is a member of the Kuomintang KMT political party and is known for his PRC friendly views and controversial statements on Taiwan PRC and Taiwan US relations, especially after leaving office. Ma said in a January interview that Dush Well posted several days before the ROC's 2024 presidential election that Taiwan must trust Xi Jinping when it comes to cross-strait relations. The comment drew condemnation from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) and prompted KMT presidential candidate Hu Yui to politically distance himself from Ma, saying his views were somewhat different in a speech at a New York university in October of 2023. Ma said that the United States and other Taiwan friendly Western countries should encourage Taiwanese leaders to engage in dialogue with the PRC rather than encouraging them to move toward Taiwanese independence or even transforming Taiwan into a second Ukraine. Whoo! Woo! There won't be a second Ukraine. Y'all niggas will just get wiped out. It'll be a nasty naval campaign for about 3 or 4 months, if that. And then once they hit inland, bro, they would literally do a to the death campaign on you guys. It would be ugly. We would see for the first time in like real time these guys building like freaking man-made water bridges. You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. Uh, 1 second. Pontoon bridge. Yep, that's what I was thinking of. A floating bridge. We'll see the first modern day pontoon bridges being used on motherfuckers. Okay. Ma's allegation that the United States is pushing Taiwan toward independence and risking war with the PRC aligns with CCP rhetoric on the U.S.-Taiwan relationship. So it's the same thing. They're like, yo, China's saying that as they push us, he's saying that China's saying that as the U.S. pushes us away from them, there's a greater chance for war. Right on? The more you guys try to push us to have our independence, the closer we are to getting fucked up. The CCP may use a Xi-Ma meeting to advance its preferred vision of a cross-strait relations and legitimize the KMT as a negotiating partner on behalf of Taiwan in contrast to the DPP. I'm saying? And just in case y'all forgot, that's the Kuomintang, I want to say. You know what I mean? Democratic People's Party. So they're trying to make it to where Ma, the dude who said what he said about not making a second Ukraine, they're trying to get that worked out. And that's why old girl not going, that's like her stance of saying, like, I'm not going to legitimize it, but it also could just really be like, she's afraid though. People be getting touched left and right lately. Tao spokesperson, Chen Bihao, Chen Binhua, said on March 14 that Taiwan would be able to alleviate tensions and sleep soundly if it could relive the peaceful development period across the strait from 2008 to 2016. Chen's statements refer to the years of Ma's presidency. A meeting between Xi and Ma would be consistent of the CCP's effort to legitimize the KMT as a negotiating partner while not directly interacting with Taiwan's DPP-led government. So they're trying to undercut their government, and that's the coldest kind of coup ever. We're just going to we'll legitimize these guys, we'll delegitimize you. There won't be a war over here. There will be a silent, hostile takeover over there in Taiwan if it works out right. If not, we'll come over there and fuck y'all up. That's what I'm reading. Anyway, let me keep reading. And this is Rick. Reach out and touch somebody. This ain't reach out and tap them on the shoulder. Listen, we talk when they say reach out, touch them, man. I'm talking about putting rounds on the target 800 meters away, 400 meters away, 25 meters away, right in front of you. Reaching out and touching them. I'm talking about putting that sword on them. I'm talking about putting them fist on them. I'm talking about, you know what I mean, grabbing them and, launching them onto their grave. Seeing if they're going to be the same afterward. The PRC cut off official exchanges with Taiwan after Tsai Ing-wen of the DPP became president of Taiwan in 2016. CCP officials, that shit's crazy. CCP officials have repeatedly met with KMT officials during this time. So when old girl won, they delegitimized herself. They felt like that was some U.S. bullshit or whatever. You know what I mean? Or some Western bullshit or whatever. And they refused to recognize it because she's trying to push these dudes to independence and closer to getting them fucked up than she is getting them, some love. The CCP insists that all cross-strait negotiations must be on the mutual basis of the 1992 consensus, which Ma and the KMT recognize, but Tsai and the DPP do not. The 1992 consensus is an alleged verbal agreement between semi-official representatives of the PRC and the then KMT-ruled RIC following negotiations in 1992. If both states, it states that both sides agree there is only one China, and Taiwan is a part of China. The CCP interprets this one China to be the People's Republic of China, however, while the KMT interprets it to be the Republic of China. Although Ma no longer holds an official position in KMT, so you guys gotta understand the RIC and the PRC. So RIC is Taiwan, PRC is mainland Big China. Right on? Just in case I haven't made that clear. Although Ma no longer holds an official position in the KMT Vice Chairman Andrew Xia said that KMT would be glad if Ma meets Xi and hopes his trip can stabilize cross-strait relations. Look, people get mad about this kind of stuff, but I need to read it to y'all so that way y'all understand, man. Rick is out here getting it in. They're putting in all the work, putting it all the way in. Niggas be like, pause, pause, pause. Shut your bitch ass up, okay? It's my mouth. I say what I want to. Pause that. These niggas is getting it all the way in. A PRC fishing boat. Here we go. The Chinese Coast Guard has normalized patrols around Kinmen since February 14th. A People's Republic China's fishing boat in Taiwan's prohibited waters near Kinmen capsized while fleeing from illegal Taiwanese Coast Guard pursuit. The capsizing resulted in the deaths of 2 of the 4 fishermen aboard. The CCG pledged on February 18th to strengthen law enforcement activities around the Kinmen. The CCG has maintained a consistent presence around Kinmen and repeatedly violated Taiwan's maritime boundaries since then. Look, Had they not shot at these dudes and did all that extra shit, we wouldn't be out here peacocking and telling you do something. Right on? Okay, these dudes is in waters they're not supposed to be in, but they're fishermen. Right on? They have to make a living. You think they're spies? Prove it. Come out and say that. But don't treat them like they're hostile invaders. And these dudes look like you, and you guys speak a similar. See, that's the kind of shit I can't move with that, man. That's why. That's just like when niggas who ain't from the city that they're from the same state, not even from the same city, but from the same state, go to another city, and niggas want to grit on them and act funny with them. When it's like, man, you should be treating that brother like that's your brother, man. You don't. Anyway, whatever. Stupid. Stupid. That's why a quick caveat. That's why I don't, people mad about that nigga in Chicago getting shot at like 100 times. Let me just tell y'all something. I ain't never seen I have never seen black people protest after niggas drop 100 rounds in the hood, drop 200 rounds in the hood. I have yet to see it. I hear niggas talking about put down the guns and all this, that, the other, but until y'all come at the shit that's going on in the streets, the same way you go at the police, it doesn't matter who caused the oppression. If you making your oppression worse, and if you making your existence and your oppression worse, you are part of the problem. You are not part of the solution. Now back to this RIC talk. The CCG has maintained a consistent presence around Kinmen and have repeatedly violated Taiwan's maritime boundary since then. The CCG boarded a Taiwanese sightseeing ship on February 19th, marking the first time a CCG ship conducted inspections in Taiwanese waters. 5 CCG marine surveillance ships entered Taiwan's contiguous zone around Kinsman on February 26, including one that crossed into territorial waters. The total number of CCG ships around Kinsman reached 11 on February 27, including 2 that entered Taiwan's contiguous zone. Contiguous zone. 4 CCG ships operated in Taiwan's territorial waters around Kinsman Island for 2 consecutive days for the first time on March 15th and 16th. One of the ships was a converted naval corvette that conducted the passage with its gun covers removed. The CCG's removal of its gun covers during its passage through Taiwan's water illustrates its offensive posturing, indicating its actions are intended to intimidate the Taiwanese Coast Guard rather than uphold a safe maritime environment. CCG ships have previously used this tactic to intimidate rival enforcement in contested waters, including the Philippine Coast Guards around the Second Thomas Shoal in the South China Sea. Listen, y'all calling it the South China Sea. I'm thinking, even if y'all don't want to say it's theirs, it's mostly theirs. Rename the sea then. Otherwise than that, shut up. It's their shit. Well, you can't have all this water. Let them have it. As small as everything seems to be, the earth is nice and big, man. There's plenty of room for people. Relax. And if there's only one China, then it really wouldn't matter. See what I'm saying? If they was just like, you know what? But they did what they did though. They caused the provocation, right? And then, big homie came through peacocking and was like, what's popping? Shoot at us, chase us off. Right on? Come on, do us like you did the fisherman boat. Talking about they're trying to intimidate them. Nah, man, y'all doing shit. See, I'm at liberty to perceive and discern the information as I see fit and choose to do as well. It's not just what they think. Where we at? Bang bang. Normalizing operation around Taiwan's water set conditions for the PRC to apply further pressure on Taiwan in the future. It provides the precedent for the PRC to justify future CCG around other offshore rock islands such as Matsu. The patrols near the offshore island create domestic political pressure on the ROC government to negotiate with the PRC from a position of weakness to mitigate the frequency of patrols and defend ROC sovereignty, Republic of China, aka Taiwan. The CCP has normalized the patrol around Kinsman while keeping the Kinsman incident and subsequent CCG incursions from escalating into a crisis. The use of CCG rather than the PLA Navy is one way the CCP employs force to change the status quo without eliciting a foreign response because the former is not a military vessel. So they're saying that the CCG, the Coast Guard, is not seen as a true military vessel, where the actual the People's Liberation Army Navy is the military. It's all the way military. Like they're like this is a military operation. This is the Coast Guard. We're not here to be on the offensive. We're here to protect the coast. It's different. And the waters that surround the coast. We're not on any sort of, you know what I mean, a naval expedition that would lead to the conquering of another nation or that should incite a war. This activity is part of a trend of coercive actions that change the status quo of the PRC, that change the status quo in the PRC's favor and do not reach the threshold of a ROC or third-party military response. The lower level of PLA Air Force violation of Taiwan's ADIZ in 2024 compared to 2023 demonstrate that the party has avoided pursuing opportunities to escalate tension to the point of inciting a military response. Every month from January to November 2023 averaged over 100 ADIZ violations. I'm saying no month in 2024 has yet reached 100 ADIZ violations. This aligns with two unspecified Taiwanese security officials' comments to Bloomberg on March 18th that the PLA activity around Taiwan has not increased in intensity since the January presidential election. The Chinese Coast Guard delayed the release of a Taiwanese fisherman that it rescued near Kinsman for over a week on suspicion that he was a ROC soldier. The CCG rescued two Taiwanese fishermen early in the morning of March 18th after their boat ran out of fuel and drifted out of Taiwanese water around Kinmen. It held the fishermen in Guangzhou, a PRC coastal city a short distance from Kinsman. The PRC planned to hand the fishermen over to Taiwanese authorities on March 19th, but delayed the handover after claiming one of the fishermen tried to hide that he was an active member of the Taiwan military. Right. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense confirmed on March 23 that the fisherman is part of the Kingsman Garrison Brigade. The CCG finally released one of the fishermen and his boat, but continues to hold the soldier in custody. On March 23, but continues to hold the soldier in custody. That dude still might be in custody. Told y'all, right, bro. Listen what I say. Had they, this is my point. The dudes who drowned and died, right? Now, it doesn't say that they weren't PLA sailors, right? Or soldiers. But let's just say they're actual true to life fishermen. You feel me? Then what? Now, nobody ended up dead, and these dudes ran out of fuel. And these guys are trying to politicize this stuff. To me, the Taiwanese, because why would you get into the water and then not have enough fuel? Like, come on, man. Like, come on, y'all. You military dude and everything, man. Make it make sense, man. That's just being logistically unprepared or under resourced or whatever. But there's virtually no reason for that unless you want that to happen or you're just like literally like that underfunded. But Taiwan has money, so I'm like, nah, man, that don't make no sense. Once again, if Rick wanted to reach out and touch these niggas over this shit, they could have. And you hear how they're saying that what China's doing does not warrant a Taiwanese military response or a interventionist military response. America, right? Maybe even Australia. But like once again, nations who have no business meddling. Anyway, the ROC Coast Guard, Kinmen County Government, and KMT legislator Jessica Chin of Kinmen maintained communications with PRC authorities to secure the release of the fishermen and allow their families to visit them. Chin denied that the PRC was engaging in hostile diplomacy. Yeah, nigga, this dude's in the military. Listen, the KMT, here's what DPP, right on? DPP feels differently than the KMT does. I bet. Know how they're trying to make the KMT people look bad. How much more we got? We got a couple few more to go, and then we done. We almost done. We got a couple few more to go, then we done. Relax. Where we at? Here we go. ROC president Tsai Ing-wen declined to visit Taiwan-controlled Ituaba and South China Sea before her term ends. Ituaba is the largest island in the Spratly Archipelago. And the only one that has called on Tsai to visit Ituaba, known in Chinese as Taiping Island, and the South China Sea to assert Taiwan's sovereignty there before the end of her presidency on May 20. Tsai's predecessor, Mao Ying-jeou of the KMT and Chen Shubian of the DPP both visited the island before leaving office. KMT politicians criticized Tsai for not attending the inauguration ceremony for a newly renovated pier on Taiping Island on March 26. The Tsai administration has cited regional and personal security concerns in explaining Tsai's decision to not visit Ituaba. Taiwan Foreign Minister Joseph Wu and National Security Bureau Director Tsai Ming-yen advised President Tsai not to travel to Ituaba due to high regional tensions and militarization of the South China Sea. Wu said the PRC had built enormous military bases on 3 islands surrounding Ituaba, Mischief Reef, and Fiery Cross Reef, and has 20 war escalating tensions in the region between the Philippines and the PRC, and said Taiwan should consider peaceful means to avoid aggravating the situation. NSB Director Tsai said that they were securing President Tsai's flight if she visits the island. He said PRC forces have harassed aircrafts and ships replenishing Taiwan's base on Ituaba. The KMT criticized Tsai for not visiting Ituaba and organized a legislative delegation to visit the island on May 16th to assert Taiwan's sovereignty. Ma Wen-chun, who is the co-chair of the Foreign Affairs and National Defense Committee in the Legislative Yuan, said that her delegation would go to the island regardless of whether President Tsai went. 10 KMT legislators, including Ma and 3 TPP and 1 DPP legislator, have also signed up for the trip. These include Lee Deputy Speaker, or I don't know what the hell that word is. That's the first time I'm seeing that. Lee Deputy Speaker, Johnny Chiang Chi-chen Johnny Chiang Chi-chen of the KMT, who was a member of the committee. LY Speaker Han Kyo-yu of the KMT, who was also on the committee, said that he would not go due to political considerations. However, the last guy said he ain't going. Deputy Speaker's going, the Speaker's not. KMT Chairman Eric Chu dismissed Tsai's administration's concern about Tsai visiting Ituaba as an excuse, noting that Taiwan has its own Coast Guard and military personnel on the island to protect the presidential's flight, and that past presidents visited despite similar concerns. Former President Ma urged Tsai to visit the island to safeguard national interest. Some KMT, that's talking about the cross-strait relations. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get everything popping. He's like, come on, man, we're trying to get it popping. Why the fuck are you holding this shit up? And Hey, man, there's always a hater, man. There's always maybe she's holding out for the right reasons, but maybe she's holding out for all the wrong reasons. But there's always a hate as a motherfucker, somebody who's always trying to hold the shit up. Man, some KMT legislators alleged that the true reason for Tsai Ing-wen's unwillingness to visit Itu Aba is related to her own unwillingness to upset the United States. Mm. This framing from the KMT implicitly criticizes U.S. influence over Taiwan and frames Tsai as a subordinate to U.S. interests at the expense of Taiwanese sovereignty. The American Institute for Taiwan, the de facto U.S. embassy in Taiwan, said it was disappointed when Ma Ying-jeou announced plans to visit the island in 2016 because the trip could exacerbate tensions. Who the fuck is a white dude to tell a Chinese dude to do what other Chinese people? Come on, man. Same white dudes are probably related to the same English and British who got the Chinese mainland populace super hooked to opium and then stole all the silver. Stop. The United States, United Kingdom, and New Zealand accused the PRC state-sponsored cyber threat actors of conducting malicious cyber operations against democratic institutions. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice charged 7 PRC nationals with cyber crimes on March 25. The cyber crimes were espionage, transnational repression, and a far-reaching campaign that PRC's Ministry of State Security, MSS, directed. The indictment accused the MSS-backed group referred to as Advanced Persistent Threat 31. APT 31, of malicious cyber activities focusing on infiltrating government networks globally to collect sensitive data from public officials who criticize the PRC. The indictment alleges that APT 31 embedded malware in over 10,000 emails that collected data on target recipients, including political candidates and campaign personnel. APT 31 used the data to enable direct hacking operations against targets, including infiltrating home routers. The U.S. indictment corresponds to earlier reports from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the ODNI, that revealed PRC cyber actors attempt to interfere with federal election infrastructure networks in 2020 and 2022. Stop right there for half a second. Now, y'all know I'm known for reading some stuff and reading, but I got into reading this and I have to read this whole thing to y'all because I read some of it earlier, right? Before, or before, obviously not earlier, but like way before all this. But just realize how recent this stuff is. This shit is not, you know what I mean? This is what's happening right now. Okay? Y'all wonder why I'm saying like these dudes is trying to figure out where the nukes are at, how to shut them down, how to shut down any kind of nuclear defense, all kinds of shit. The best places to do a fucking if you're gonna not launch an actual a chemical warhead, you launch one that's full of like EMP electron, like an actual EMP nuke, and you try to just break the whole system. Ground zero is obviously going to have massive casualties, but the whole idea is to wipe out the grid. And the best way to do it is either do it from up high in the sky, and the even better way to do it is to do it from down below in the middle of the earth. Neither here nor there. You're wondering why them dudes over down there in Mexico building them tunnels and digging them tunnels. You don't know what they done smuggled into this motherfucking nation. You don't know if they done brought nukes into this bitch or what. You have no idea. And you can say, oh, the U.S. government would know. Would they? No, really, would they? That's a serious question. ATP 31's hacking campaign has been going on for the past 14 years. ATP 31 and its members have perpetrated numerous other malicious cyber campaigns in recent years, including spear phishing operations targeting the United States Naval Academy, the Naval War Colleges, China Maritime Studies Institute, and Hong Kong legislators and democracy advocates. Stop right there for half a second one more time. Where do you guys think some of these little ransomware attacks be coming from? It's not just regular dudes. This is them. The ATP 31 is probably in on a bunch of those ransomware attacks, holding whole cities or holding whole parts of a particular government, police force, whatever, hostage, saying we won't release the information or we'll do this with it unless you give us this much money. And they're getting it in Bitcoin, so you can't trace the money. Anyway, this shit is crazy. The U.S. charges coincide with similar accusations against the PRC from the United Kingdom and New Zealand. The UK's National Cybersecurity Center, NCSC, assessed with high confidence on March 25 that ATP-31 conducted extensive cyber espionage on UK parliamentarians in 2021. NCSC also officially attributed the compromise of electoral commission networks in 2021 to the PRC, which exfiltrated means, took the data of over 40 million people from electoral registers. The head of New Zealand's Government Communications Security Bureau, GCSB, Judith Collins, declared her country's support for the UK's condemnation of the PRC's cyber operations. Collins announced on March 26 that the GCSB also traced malicious cyber activity targeting parliamentary entities to PRC state-sponsored cyber group, ATP-40. So there's different groups. I'm saying there's ATP-31 and then there's obviously ATP-40. But understand, they all dropped this March 25 and then March 26. You feel me? So that means that they coordinated, they talked to one another, and then they said, okay, boom, we're gonna follow up with this on these days. Now, is that conspiracy? I don't know. Is that just a coordinated assault because they all felt like, well, they coordinated assaulted on us, so let's do the same thing to them, sovereign governments, so-called sovereign governments, and then make it happen? Whatever. Let's just keep reading. That's just an objective view on it. The U.S. and UK jointly imposed sanctions on March 25 against two defendants and an entity they allege is an MSS front company that enables cyber operations. The UK Foreign Office summoned the PRC charge d'affaires on March 26 to express unequivocal condemnation of the PRC's hacking activities. UK political figures such as former Tory leader Sir Lane Duncan Smith and former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick are urging the government to take harsh punitive action against the PRC. The latest revelations about the PRC's hacking activities highlight the PRC's large-scale data theft and espionage against its adversaries. The MSS conducted a large-scale hacking operation from 2014 to 2015 against the Office of Personnel Management, the United States government chief human resource agency that manages federal employees records for security clearances. The MSS exfiltrated, took out the background data of over 22 million federal employees and contractors. A PRC state-backed cyber actor related to ATP-40, known in open source as Hafnium, exploited vulnerabilities in Microsoft email servers in 2021 to extract sensitive data from organizations around the globe, compromising 30,000 companies and entities in the U.S. alone. NCSC called the espionage-focused incident the largest cyber intrusion against the UK and its allies to date. The alleged APT-31 operation also targeted companies of national economic importance, including defense contractors who supply the U.S. military and the leading provider of 5G network equipment. Boy, your boy, I don't be tripping about much. The PRC's Ministry of Foreign Affairs (MFA) spokesman Lin Jian denied the allegations on March 26 and pointed to recent PRC reports of U.S. government cyber operations against the PRC. Lin accused the United States of recruiting Five Eyes allies to spread disinformation and villainize the PRC. The PRC's counter-accusations are consistent with the past reactions to reverse the narrative, portraying itself as a responsible actor in cyberspace, and as a victim of U.S. transgressions. The only problem is that the U.S. has wronged every nation on the earth. So every nation has a legitimate grievance against the United States. Wow. Top CCC officials officials met with the North Korean delegation led by Minister of the International Department of the Workers' Party of Korea, the Minister of the International Department of the Worker Party of Korea, WPK, Kim Sung-nam, in Beijing to discuss bilateral relations. Kim met separately with Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, Chairman Wang Huning and Director of CCP International Liaison Department Lu Jianchao, uh, or Jiancao, on March 21. Wang Huning, Wang Huning, Wang Huning, Wang Huning stressed unwavering ties despite changes in the international situation, according to Pyongyang's official media. Kim met with Secretary of the CCP's Secretariat. Is that Kai Ki? I think that's Kai Chi. It's either Kai Chi or Kai Ki. Kai Chi. I'll say Sai Chi. On March 22, PRC Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Kim met on March 23, during which Wang expressed the PRC's will to maintain and develop its friendship with North Korea. Kim declared North Korea's support for the PRC in all Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Xinjiang related issues. This is Kim's first overseas trip, assuming his position as the head of the International Department of the WPK. PRC readouts of the meeting repeated expressions of goodwill between the two countries and pledges to strengthen bilateral cooperation. The PRC did not comment on North Korea's aggressive behavior in the region, which is consistent with the PRC actions since mid-December. The CCP has not publicly criticized North Korea for launching ballistic missiles, testing alleged underwater nuclear drones, or labeling South Korea as its primary foe. The CCP instead called for dialogue to portray the party as a responsible regional stakeholder while avoiding steps to stop North Korea's provocations. The PRC MFA has messaged since mid December that trying to solve the problem on the Korean Peninsula through military deterrence and pressure will not work, and dialogue and consultation are how to resolve the issue. No shit. The CCP has also emphasized the PRC's close relation with North Korea plans to deepen mutually beneficial cooperation this year, which will be the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. I need y'all to understand the real reason why China and North Korea are so tough is because of the Korean conflict. During the Korean War, the Chinese came through and supported the North Koreans, where they just would have been overran and taken over. This is why there's such deep hatred for who they call South Koreans, but they're all Koreans, and it's sad to see any nation or anybody, Gentiles or men alike, you know, men and Gentiles alike. It's sad to see anybody who's really supposed to be related murdering and killing each other like that when you really should just sit down at the table. You know what I'm saying? And get all the grief and get all the ill will out of you and stay at the table and eat your meal and drink your drink. Right on. And if somebody needs to fist to cuff it out, then let that be the case. But it shouldn't be under the auspices that we just can't talk at all. That's bullshit. Southeast Asia. The Chinese Coast Guard is driving heightened tensions in the South China Sea while the PRC blames the Philippines and the United States for the crisis. Mm-mm-mm. Now, the Philippines is a very poor nation. Very poor. Like, they're really poor. The fact that they have a Coast Guard, amazing. The fact that they don't have any military might without the United States being there is disgraceful, and it's a sign that they need to shut the fuck up and back the fuck down. All these places are only able to peacock because of the U.S. It's whack. It's whack. Philippine Coast Guard PCG spokesman J. Tarriella stated that Filipino marine scientists conducted research at Sandy Cay on March 21, nautical miles from the Philippine-controlled T2 Islands, while the CCG and maritime militia harassed the researchers, including by helicopter. Over 15 CCG vessels remained in the area between Sandy Cay and T2 Island on March 22. The CCG blamed the Philippines for infringing on China's territorial sovereignty, since the PRG claims that both Sandy Cay and T2 Island as its own. So they're like, this is our shit. And the Philippines, listen, we all understand that real kingdoms, you only held the kingdom as long as you had the strength in your arm to have it. You had the might of your own arms. Let's keep going. The CCG also fired water cannons at a Philippine supply ship headed to the second Thomas Shoal. The water cannons rendered the ship immobile and caused unspecified injuries to the Filipino crew. Oh shit! The two PCG ships towed the two PCG ships towed the supply ship away, while a motorboat successfully transported new soldiers and supplies to the second Thomas Shoal. The second Thomas Shoal is a submerged reef in the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea, which the Philippines and the PRC both claim. The Philippines control the shoal with troops based on the grounded warship BRP Sierra Madre. Filipino Undersecretary for Bilateral Relations and ASEAN Asian Affairs Teresa Lazaro protested the CCG and maritime militia actions to PRC Vice Foreign Minister Chen Jiadong via phone call on March 25. Hold on. There we go. It's perfect. Now look now, y'all. Now this is Taiwan, the Republic of China. People's Republic of China. Now you don't hear Vietnam claiming to have no kind of nothing. Word. People are like, the Philippines is all spread out though. Listen, at some point this shit cuts off. You don't have enough physical force. You cannot keep it all on your own. You can't. Minus U.S. help, the Philippines and the Republic of China, aka Taiwan, they're not fucking with China. They're not fucking with the PRC. Come on, man, stop playing. I don't give a fuck if the PRC made their boats out of plastic. Nigga, they will have 10 million of them bitches, okay? And half them boats gonna make it. And you still got a problem. Bruh. Only these assholes do shit like this. Now just look just look where everything is at. This is all 2024. This is all these days. The CCG actions since March 21 are part of a coercive trend targeting the Philippines. The CCG vessel attempted to block and collide with the Philippine Coast Guard vessel escorting a supply mission to Second Thomas Shoal on March 5, causing minor damage to the Philippine ship. Two CCG ships also fired water cannons at a separate Philippine supply ship, injuring four Philippine personnel, and later collided with it. I love these dudes. We can make it pop. What's popping? The CCG actions in the South China Sea support PRC claims of sovereignty over nearly the entire of the South China Sea. It's called the South China Sea, not the North Philippine Sea, the South China Sea. Get over it. inclu- including the Spratly Islands through the nine-dash line maritime boundary. The PRC rejects a 2016 Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling that declared the nine-dash line claims are unlawful. The PRC has constructed, seized, and attempted to seize many islands in the South China Sea so it can build a military presence throughout the critical waterway. The PRC has built military infrastructure on islands that it has seized control of or artificially constructed to expand its power projection capability, strength domain awareness, and increase its control over critical sea lines of communication through the South China Sea. Developing the capability to monitor or restrict ships through the South China Sea will support the future PRC effort to implement a blockade of Taiwan or block U.S. and allied reinforcements from reaching the Taiwan Strait in wartime. It'll be a death trap for anybody going up in there. Complete death trap. And that's not if people aren't looking out for the double, triple cross, where the allies you start with turn into your enemies, even though you don't attack them, because they've been planning to attack you this entire time. Neither here nor there. The PRC blames the Philippines and the United States for the regional tension. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. gave an interview on Bloomberg on March 19, where he stated the Philippines is trying to keep the relationships with the PRC on an even keel. But since the threat from the PRC has grown, we must do more to defend our territory. The PRC MFA responded on March 20 that the Philippines is driving the crisis by alleged maritime infringements on South China Sea islands that the PRC claims as its own. The PRC MFA is framing the planned United States Japan Philippines summit on April 11th as provocative toward the PRC. PRC MFA spokesman Wang Wenbin claimed on March 14th that the United States traveled thousands of miles to China's doorstep to provoke trouble as part of its hegemonic activity. Then he framed the revisionist PRC territorial aggression in the South China Sea as a protection of his country's territorial sovereignty. He then framed the revisionist PRC territory, saying he changed some shit up. Wang's rhetoric is consistent with the previous PRC messaging about the U.S. role in the region. The PRC mod framed the United States as creating bloc confrontations that escalate regional tension after June 23, the U.S., Japan, Philippines trilateral summit. Wang's comments exemplify the view of CCP leadership that the United States-led security architecture in East Asia is inherently aggressive rather than defensive in nature. That's how they feel about my boy, huh? My boy Wang, huh? Don't know what Wang did to them. Wang ain't bother nobody. I gotta share the screen one more again. I told you there's a bunch of reading to be done. A whole heap of it. But the whole point of this. That is the point of all this. Let me blow this up. That should be big enough. Let me scroll down some. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. This one's not as bad, but it's still pretty damn long. You know what I mean? But it's not nearly as long as the shit we just read. I want people to understand, I'm not just talking shit. This is an opinion, by the way, but I love opinions. Word? Because he's going to root his opinion in some sort of factual information. China, Russia, and Iran are reviving the age of empires. Boy, they got everybody in their feelings. They reaching out and touching shit. And that's why people in their feelings. Western states that lost their overseas possessions have failed well in the Pax Americana, but Xi and Putin want to regain their nation's long lost imperial might. Hal Brands is a Bloomberg opinion columnist and the Henry Kissinger Distinguished Professor at Johns Hopkins University of School of Advanced International Studies. The ghosts of empires are haunting Eurasia. President Xi Jinping's China is seeking to reclaim the power and privileges of the great dynasties that once bestrode Asia. President Vladimir Putin is channeling the memory and the methods of famous conquerors from Russia's imperial past. Iran is using proxies, missiles, and other means to build a sphere of influence encompassing parts of the old Persian Empire. Not so long ago, but they're not part of the Persian Empire. They're Turks. They're invaders to the land. Anyway, not so long ago, much of the world was ruled by empires. If today's revisionist states have their way, the future could resemble the past. Empires take many forms, but the term generally refers to a multinational collection of peoples and territories in which power flows outward from a dominant center. For centuries, the global order and disorder were shaped by the clash of rival empires. The big story of 20th century geopolitics was the decline or destruction of the great formal empires of Europe and Asia, and their replacement by a still greater informal empire led by the US. Yet dreams of empire die hard. And the story of 21st century geopolitics so far is the quest for imperial restoration by a host of ambitious autocracies that chafe at the liberal international order Washington runs. That story is also an illustration of how powerful and pernicious historical legacies can be. The one time empires that adjusted most successfully to the modern world were the ones that eventually got over the loss of greatness. Germany, Japan, the UK, and others accepted, however reluctantly, that they were more likely to thrive as members of America's empire than by trying to resuscitate their own. The ones that are causing the most trouble today, by contrast, are the ones determined to revive the glories and settle the grievances of the past. Meaning, I don't have to take that shit. Empires have existed throughout history, which isn't surprising given the penchant of the strong to expand at the expense of the weak. That's not exactly how empires work. Empires only last. See, this is see a retard who the dude who wrote this is retarded. He's influenced by all the nonsense. Empires are based on cooperation. If the people do not cooperate, you do not have an empire ever. That's how that works. People have to submit themselves to the idea that the greater that the larger the group is greater than me. That is not at the expense of the weak, because the strong have to move themselves to the side and know that I am merely one person. The weak try to hold on to power when it's not theirs to hold on to. The strong let it go because it was mine's while it was mine's. When I die, whoever lives on the earth is theirs. I no longer have any claim to anything. Rome once presided over vast swaths of the known world. Modern day China and Russia are heirs to imperial states that controlled much of Eurasia. The US itself began as part of the British Empire that eventually spanned the globe. So that means that empires never stopped. The age of empire reached its zenith in the early 20th century. That can't be true. Listen, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's just completely untrue. Listen, y'all. A zenith, by definition, is the point of a celestial sphere that is directly opposite the nadir and vertically above the observer. So it's talking about the peak, the top. Word? Can you hear me? The age of empire reached its peak in the early. Are y'all hearing this? America hasn't even been around for 500 years. Talking about on paper as a fucking nation. And this dude's talking about the zenith. This is why it's an opinion. Let's keep reading. As historian Richard Overy recounts, before World War One, Britain controlled an empire of 31 million square kilometers. The French Empire, 12 and a half, was 20 times larger than was 20 times larger than metropolitan France. Thanks to rampant imperial engorgement, there were only a handful of independent countries in Africa and Asia, one of which Japan was building an empire that would ultimately stretch deep into Asia and across much of the Pacific Ocean. The worst wars of the 20th century were the wars of empire. World War One had its roots in clash between the Austro-Hungarian and Russian empires from influence in the Balkans, as well as tensions created by Germany's desire to dominate Europe and win imperial prerogatives further abroad. Hold on. Didn't even bring up the Turks. Did not bring up the Turks. How can you not bring up the Ottoman Turk Empire? The Ottoman Turk Empire, and you're talking about empires. See what I'm saying? This dude has something to hide. World War II erupted and after the end of World War One, right on, okay, word. At the end of World War One, when the Ottoman Turk Empire is dissolved, is the birth of a lot of those other nations over there that call themselves Soviet and the like, the Eastern Bloc. World War II erupted when Germany and Japan and Italy sought to conquer huge domains that would make them prosperous and secure. Empires could be sources of strength. Nearly 1.7 million Indians served the British cause during World War One. Food and raw materials from the British and French empires sustained the Allies' war effort. The lesson Nazi Germany and fascist Italy and Imperial Japan drew from that conflict and applied in the 1930s and 40s was that violent expansion was the key to attain land, markets, and resources that would allow them to rule in a rivalrous world. Yet bids for greatness often end in destruction by bringing down the wrath of countervailing coalitions. The German, Japanese, and Italian empires were ruined by the global conflicts those countries started. The winner didn't fare much better. The two world wars and the independence movements they unleashed eventually broke the empires of Britain, France, the Netherlands, and other European powers. Russia's Tsarist empire collapsed under the strain of World War One, was resurrected as a socialist empire in the form of the Soviet Union, and then disintegrated again when it was defeated in the Cold War. The age of the empire, it seemed, was finally at an end. The age of formal empire, anyway. The U.S. was an agent of imperial destruction in the 20th. And the U.S. was an agent of imperial destruction. And no, they were seeking imperialism in the 20th century. Ain't this about a bitch? Its self-interest, as well as its founding of anti-colonial ideology. How can you be anti-colonial and you are colonists? Made it uncomfortable in a world of aggressively expansionist old world states. This nigga is smoking some good shit. It helped defeat the Central Powers, the Axis powers, and the Communist powers, less violently and more ambivalently. It used economic and diplomatic tools to hasten the end of the British, French, and other European empires during World War II and then the Cold War, erecting an impressive and formal empire in their place. What a fucking lie. So I guess America didn't murder people, didn't maim them, didn't take shit that wasn't theirs, ain't a lying ass. This this dude is on some good shit. America was never much of an empire by European standards. It never had a huge collection of overseas colonies, but it has military bases everywhere. Once it granted independence to the Philippines in 1946, it had few vestiges of a formal empire left. By that point, however, Washington was undertaking a different imperial project. If empire is fundamentally about the penetration of one society by the power of another, then it is hard to describe America's post World War II statecraft as anything other but imperial. After World War II, the U.S. took primary responsibility for managing the global economy, much as Britain, with its navy and its preeminence in international trade and finance, had done a century earlier. Caveat: Britain's pound is stronger, Britain is nuclear powered, Britain still has a massive amount of influence over a lot of shit going on. All they did was let go of the reins and let America take the blame for the shit that's to come. The U.S. forged military alliances with countries across Eurasia, turning some of them, such as West Germany and Japan, into de facto or matter of fact strategic protectorates, and built a constellation of overseas military bases that would allow for it to project its might into far corners of the world. So you're saying that they don't have colonies, but you're putting military bases all over. What's the fucking difference? Washington intervened with varying degrees of subtlety in the domestic politics of countries in Western Europe to Southeast Asia. It used its unmatched power to discourage military aggression and nuclear proliferation, oppose communism, and support, albeit selectively, democracy and otherwise set global rules of the road. And thanks to the likes of Hollywood and Coca Cola, America attained cultural dominance as well. In its global power and in its global ambition, the U.S. exceeded any empire of the past. They're basing that on the nuke. That's not based on anything else. It's based on the nuke, y'all. If these guys didn't have nukes, they wouldn't say that. But because they have weapons that they believe that can destroy everything, see what I'm saying? These are the kind of That's not. There's nothing empirical about that. Being on a power trip is not empirical, y'all. Being willing to destroy something that you cannot recreate is not empirical. You're not a king when you want to destroy everything. Only these psychopaths want to see the whole world burn. This project was motivated mostly by self interest, namely the need to contain the Soviet Union and otherwise shape the world in ways that would make the U.S. itself prosperous and secure. Like all imperial projects, moreover, it featured some brutal, amoral measures such as coups, counterinsurgencies, and support for some repressive rulers in what we now call the Global South. The need to combat communism even led Washington to assume the role once played by European powers in places like Vietnam and end up fighting the same revolutionary movements that had once challenged those powers. Yet the American empire was nonetheless exceptional. Influence often flowed inward. It was formed in a part because so many countries in Europe and Asia were desperate for Washington's patronage and protection amid the chaos of the early Cold War. Wealth often flowed outward. In the 25 years after 1945, America's share of the global GDP dropped dramatically, and U.S. officials deemed that development a success because Washington allies were the greatest beneficiaries. In fact, countries that had once ruled enormous empires, Britain, France, the Netherlands, Germany, Japan, Italy, and others, decided they were better off becoming members of America. This was an astonishing development. It required one time imperial powers to reduce their ambitions and redefine their national identities. It was possible because their own empires had been devastated by war and its aftermath, and because the U.S. delivered many of the benefits those empires once had provided. So the abundance of all things makes it okay. The U.S. provided its allies in Europe and Asia. Now, this isn't this. Now, this is not. Now, once again, this is supposed to be an opinion article about how Iran, Russia, China are seeking to retake shit. But I hear a lot of ass kissing for America. The U.S. provided its allies in Europe and Asia with protection against their enemies. It assured them access to the markets, resources, and sea lanes needed for economic growth. Until 1945, it was commonly believed. Sea lanes, you hearing that? So why do you think China's so aggressive about the South China Sea now and all that kind of shit now? Because it took so long for them to be able to say, this is us. In the 20th century, and until 1945, it was commonly believed that security and prosperity required imperial expansion. In the 20th century, Washington made a world in which centuries, even America's recent enemies, such as Japan, could survive and thrive without building hulking empires of their own. Not everyone has gotten out of the imperial game, however. U.S. influence may seem benign to America's fellow advanced democracies, the countries that have benefited most handsomely from American investment in a relatively liberal, peaceful world. Imperial legacies are more easily confronted in democratic societies, which tend to be more skeptical these days of the coercion of empire building often involves. Yet the American empire looks far more threatening to some Eurasian autocracies, which see liberal values a threat to their own regimes, and view U.S. power as a barrier to reclaiming imperial privileges they once enjoyed. Across Eurasia, then empire varying degrees of violence and formality is making a comeback. Exhibit A: Putin, the most egregiously and expressively neo-imperial ruler of the lot. The Russian president proudly styles himself as a great conqueror in the mold of the Tsars. His closest advisors of one of the Russians officials equipped are Ivan the Terrible, Peter the Great, and Catherine the Great. Putin makes no secret that his goal is to rebuild a Russian empire on the territory of the former Soviet Union, whose collapse he called the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century, and avenge the humiliations Russia suffered after its parent state fell apart. For a quarter century, Putin has been fighting the wars of the Soviet succession, a series of conflicts in places from Chechnya to Moldova, meant to reverse the contraction of Moscow's power within the post Soviet space. Today, he is pursuing the outright conquest of Ukraine and its incorporation into Russia, the most naked act of neo imperialism Europe has seen in generations, and one Putin justifies through near continual references to Russia's imperial past. Russia and Ukraine are one people, a single whole, he has declared, which means the former can do to the latter as it pleases. I don't see how he's wrong there. A historian, Jeffrey Mankoff, writes in his brilliant book *Empires of Eurasia*, the Putin views the negation of his neighbors' sovereignty of their identity as independent states as the prerequisite to reasserting Moscow's control over them. Visions of empire are alive and well in Beijing too. Like Russia, China is a country with a grievance. It styles itself as the victim of European, Japanese, and American imperialism during the century of humiliation stretching from the onset of the Opium Wars in the 1830s to the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949. But now China is strong, proud, and desirous of recreating a quasi imperial domain. Ain't heard this dude talk about the Il Khanate yet. Interesting. Beijing seeks a sphere of influence, what some analysts describe as a later day version of the old Chinese imperial tribute system in the Asian Pacific, so it can command deference from smaller states nearby. It is rebuilding old patterns of influence with mainland Eurasia through projects such as Xi's Belt and Road Initiative while brutally pacifying its internal borderlands, namely Tibet and Xinjiang, which sit between the Han core of the country and this imperial periphery. And while China isn't trying to conquer foreign countries as Russia is, it is unresolved territorial disputes from the Himalayas to the South China Sea. The imperial echoes are not impossible to hear. Beijing bases its claim to the China Sea on arguments about the reach and influence of the Han Dynasty 2 millenniums ago. The community of common destiny, China's concept for a post American global order, is derived from the imperial Chinese concept of Tianjia, or all under heaven. China's leaders and propagandists often tout not just the country's rise, but its rejuvenation. The idea, as the state runs news agency put it, that the Middle Kingdom is set to regain its might and reascend to the top of the world. Eurasia's third revisionist power, Iran, has its own imperial traditions. It is both the descendant of both the Persian and Pahlavi dynasty, which ruled until 1979. Although Iran's Ayatollahs gained power by overthrowing the Pahlavis, they are trying to revive some of the old patterns of influence. Turks in Russia, Turks in China, Turks in Iran. Tehran's ruler writes off Mankoff invasion as a greater and Khan's in cons in China, cons in Russia, cons in Iran. There we go. I should have said it like that. This doesn't require asserting direct. Whoa. Tehran's rulers writes Mankoff envisioned a greater Iran that includes not only Mesopotamia, but also the Caucasus and much of Central and South Asia. This doesn't require asserting direct political or military control over the region. Iran is far too weak for this. Rather, Tehran is using proxies, special operation forces, and other asymmetric tools to degrade its neighbors' sovereignty and shape events from Yemen to the Levant. Meanwhile, it is developing the military tools from ballistic missiles to an advanced nuclear program that will facilitate the drive for regional dominance by helping it push its rivals, namely the US and Israel, out. Every empire has its ideology, and there are strong religious components to Iran's project. In the years after the Iranian Revolution, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini asserted that Islamic movement bearing the blessing of Allah cannot limit itself to any particular country. Today, Iran has made enemies of much of the Muslim world, but still claims primacy over Shia populations. Modern Iran's writes historian Kelly Shannon, in quotes, has always seen itself as the home of once great empires, a self-perception that continues to underpin its foreign policy today. What right do Americans have to complain about this? After all, the influence Russia, Iran, and China, RIC, are seeking is fairly modest compared to the influence the U.S. itself exerts. The real issue is not that all forms of empires the real issue is that not all forms of empires are created equal. America's empire has hardly been without its sins, but it has nonetheless helped make the world freer and more prosperous than ever before. That's an opinion, y'all. That's why this is an opinion article. Because you can't oppress people, you can't, whatever. A world of rising autocratic empires wouldn't be so pretty. And we are presently getting real time reminders of how bloody and brutal the creation of such empires can be. So he's talking about Israel bombing Gaza over there, I guess. As part of Putin's quest for empire, Russia is destroying Ukraine and brutalizing its population. As Hamas's horrific attack on October 7th and its aftermath have demonstrated, Iran and his proxies repeatedly plunged the Middle East into chaos. China's neo-imperial project involves ruthless repression of its Uyghurs, who are Muslim, by the way. If Beijing were to try to force to if Beijing were to try to use force to consummate its ambitions by bringing Taiwan under its control, for instance, it could trigger a catastrophic Sino-American war. The 21st century bids an empire in danger. The 21st century bids for empire endanger America's liberal order by threatening to revive a world in which empires expand and conquer in more coercive and violent forms. Yet they also threaten to bring blowback for would-be empires themselves. In recent years, Beijing's assertiveness has made it a widening circle of enemies and provoked technological and trade restrictions by the U.S. and its allies that threaten to undermine China's future growth. Even if Putin eventually seizes all of Ukraine's Donbass region, he will have paid a price that is totally out of proportion to whatever benefits he gets from ruling its ruins. Iran's bid for empire has led to sanctions, isolation, and economic misery, which is one reason why a regime so ambitious abroad has suffered recurring rounds of revolt back home. It's pleasing to think that historical memory makes us wiser, but across Eurasia, rulers and regimes that can't let go of imperial legacies that are causing the world and their own people a great deal of grief. So what about the shit that's going on here in America? What about the fucking all the shit that's happening here in America? Listen, this is why I'm always happy that Rick is going to reach out and touch him. This is why I'm always happy that Rick. Listen, I told y'all. Let me show y'all. Y'all niggas think I'm fucking joking or playing or something? Yeah. Smush my hair down with my hat on. What is that? What is that? That's a chef sign. What does it say on the inside of this hat? Made in Bangladesh, first and foremost. But it says Chef Works. You see that? Chef Works. I have no need to lie. Hmm. That's just me talking. I just got it on because people make me laugh when they ask me, "Are you a Muslim? Are you a Muslim?" White people. People play around talking about assalamu alaikum. I'll be looking at these dudes like, man, I will knock your fucking whole grill out. I just be cool, like I'm not a Muslim, homie. I ain't none of that shit. It's a chef's hat, literally. Just looks like that. As I said, Rick, reach out and touch somebody. You hear this guy talking about how America's the greatest. This is the greatest one, and they should just submit to America. They should just let America reign. Cause look what it's done for them. So World War I, caused by the Ottoman Turk Empire, who the Jews come from. Weird how that works, right? Weird how he does. You see what I'm saying? He's disassociating shit from one thing to the other. I don't disassociate the truth from the truth. Rick is looking to reach out and touch people, y'all. Let me tell you this right here. Not if, when Israel responds, they got to worry about turncoats within their own country. Do you really think? I mean, I want y'all to really think about this. Do you really think the Saudis, Jordan, Oman, and all those other fucking countries over there, right? You think they're all gonna take Israel's side? I mean, like you literally have to be out your mind to believe that. But greater yet, do y'all really believe that America has the ability right now to fight all these different little things? While the president of the United States is literally like an old ass incompetent dude. The pangs of death are loud in white heaven. That dude was basically beating his fucking chest the whole time for America. That shit was crazy. He didn't even talk about the Il Khanate. He didn't even talk about like the great armies that they used to be. Right on? And how they did take a back seat and how China clearly took a back seat and they didn't they relegated themselves to lesser, and through hard work and discipline they've gotten themselves back to this point. No real help of America. You're talking about taking pennies to get what you gave another man dollars for and having to save that for generations just to be in a position to do something. You're talking about having to abandon my home country, right on? Come to your country and lend to it all my skills and all my abilities. You think they're happy about that? You hear this dude's talking about how America it doesn't have territories or it doesn't have colonies. Okay, so they got a base in your nation. If you like, what else is that? Like, can you tell America to leave and then they leave? Is that how they do it? Is that really how they do it? Guy just said that they subverted governments, did coups, counterinsurgencies, all kinds of shit, right? Right. So while they're saying that, oh, Hamas started this new shit in Israel or this new problem in the Middle East as the problem with that is like I said, is if Iran were to have them attack Israel, there's no way, not a snowball's chance in hell. There's not a snowball's chance in hell. I repeat, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that they don't go all the way to the capital, get as close as they can. If all the Hamas, once again, we're not taking any hostages, killing everything we see. That's it. That's it. And we're moving as far inland as we can, as fast as we can, as quick as we can. We bringing this shit to your motherfucking capital. You know how like they hit up Moscow, right? How them little bitch ass dudes from Tajikistan hit up Moscow, right? That's how that right there is how you like. That's how I know that that was a real life. Somebody actually wanted to do something and wanted to prove a point. Right on. That was some real CIA shit right there. You know what I mean? That was some real America doing some weak shit right there. But that's how I know it was not Iran. People like me, how do you know that? Years ago, it's been almost 20 years. It's been a long time since this dude did this. There was an Iranian special forces dude. He got out and I want to say he killed 2 Green Berets and a Navy SEAL all by himself. Word? With just a pistol, y'all. Right on. He's at a checkpoint. He hops out and just starts firing on them. Killed all 3 of them, y'all. Now they can say it was a sneak attack and this, that, the other. They're supposed to be ready for that shit. Right on. They tried to fight back. They tried to shoot back. My dude just walked them down and just murked them out. I'm pretty sure if Iran wanted them to get inside of Israel and really do some shit, they would have done that. But then you have to stay there. You have to fight and die. You can't come back to where you're from. Would they still have tried to go into the Gaza Strip to try to do whatever? For sure. But it's like, okay, if 10,000 grown men from the Gaza Strip had went and got killed that day, the Gazans would have been able to say, "Yo, um, um, you killed all the Hamas fighters. What's good, bro? What's poppin', man? Peace, brother. Peace." Yeah, man. You're gonna have to probably run this back a little bit later. I I did a lot of reading, some miniature breakdowns as I was reading, but really this is about a Rick, reach out and touch somebody. And it was crazy because I had planned to do this the other day, but then Iran, so the day I posted this, I was supposed to do it a day later. Today's the 15th. I was supposed to do this yesterday. Okay. The day I posted it for it to be ready on the 13th, Iran literally launched hundreds of we're talking about like not even 2 hours after I posted the video. And I didn't know that they were about to really like they kept saying the attack was imminent, whatever. But I was like, whatever, let me just put my video line up and then I'll come and say my piece and then they'll do whatever they'll do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, yeah, man. I appreciate man, bro. It's been a Rick is about to do some stuff we ain't never seen nobody do. All 3 of these groups have differing views on how they want to govern themselves. The Russians want to be Christians, the Iranians want to be Muslims, and the Chinese want to be atheists. If nothing else, they don't want to be no Muslims, they don't want to be no Christians. They're cool on all that. Okay. Then we have on the straight, like if we're talking about quality of soldiers, like real life quality of soldiers, Iran has the highest quality out of any of the groups. Talking about willingness of the soldiers, probably the Russians. Talking about numbers of soldiers, for sure the Chinese. So another differing thing. And then we're talking about who's in the most important areas. The Iranians happen to be close to what we call the cradle of life, the cradle of civilization. The Russians are offset, right on, but they're higher up than China and Iran. Word? And China is not so much wedged between, but it's in between and it's offset from either one. Now, I got a bunch of old videos. I know you've heard me talk about the Khanate or as the Khans, right on. And Rick, the Return of the Khans. I'm gonna have to do another one of those in a few weeks because the Return of the Khan is really an underrated concept, my brother. That is being overlooked by the mainstream media, by the off-stream media. Okay, they're not talking about it because they don't want to realize that historical fact that Russia, Iran, and China all used to be under the banister of the Khanate, right on, of the Khanate of the Khan Empire, and that the Khans bred in their the Khans did what most people won't do, so they bred their children into the society and only left so many. They wanted to keep the ruling parties in charge. The only place they didn't do that in, actually, like literally, was in China, right on, where they allowed the Mongol Khan to just take over. But in Russia, they allowed for the the Turco-Franc Khan or the Franco-Turk Khan, the Franc Turk Khan dude, i.e. Mongoloid. When I say Khan, I'm talking, you know, uh, mongoloid looking individual. We all know what I'm talking about. Looking like Xi Jinping in the face. Where just in the eyes, really, not really all in the face, because Xi got that nigga nose. Or but but Xi's little ass eyes is what I'm talking about. And you got them. That's why Vlad Putin looks like a white Asian. I'm always stress that, and I always make that point that he comes from a bloodline of people that were definitely Khans, definitely Mongoloids, and they bred into the Frank Turco bloodline and maintain power, or just maintain their ability to rise through the ranks, I should say. Because you're never guaranteed to keep power. You're never guaranteed to keep your kingdom. It's just not the guarantee. But what you should want is that for people of the same and similar bloodline as you to continue to reign on this earth, to continue to live on this earth. This Rick has been a really different one. It's like I said, there's a lot of reading, but it's not meant for me to speculate so much as it is for me to informate to the people. And I'm not going to read this last little thing about Russia, right? Where it talks about, like, these Russian generals pretty much like breaking down how they don't think they're going to have complete victory in Ukraine by the middle of the summer, but there's a lot of that they believe that once they can up the ante and ramp up the offensive, that is going to force Zelensky and all other parties back to the table to negotiate with some shit that actually makes sense, you know. But they hating though. They hate on my boy Vlad for doing the right thing, which is saying, okay, because you want to join NATO, bro, we got something for your ass. You know what I'm saying? We gonna touch you up. We're gonna touch you up. You and the rest of these niggas who live in Ukraine, all y'all what's the word I'm looking for? All y'all Western sympathizers. You know what I'm saying? The people. I just read this article. When you listen to it again later, bro, this dude talks about how America brought more freedom and more whatever to the whole earth, and I'm just like, at the expense of black people. Like, and now mind you, it's an opinion article. But bro, there might not be nothing left to lose if they don't come back to the table soon enough, big homie. Ezekiel, I mean, here's the thing, man. I'm just waiting for them to start building the wall at the border for sure. It's gonna happen. Millions of illegals have come through. Millions, tens of millions. It's gonna start a civil war either way. I already see the end. Oh yeah, Israel's so cool, bro. Israel is. You know how, bro? Do you remember the cartoons? Do you remember growing up as a boy. See, I'm 33, and they used to play the old cartoons when I was a little boy, right? And dudes would be cooking, and they'll burn it up, and he'll be like, "It ain't burnt, that's Cajun," right? You know what I'm saying? Israel is Cajun right now. Give me 1 second. And thou, son of man, prophesy to the mountains of Israel, and say to the mountains of Israel, hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, because the enemy has said against you, aha, the old waste places are becoming a possession for us. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord God, because you have been dishonored and hated by those round about you, that ye might be a possession to the remainder of the nations, and you become a byword and a reproach to the nations. Therefore, I know you know then, but let me get to this Ezekiel 36. Okay, I'm you brought him up. I might as well read him. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the streams, and to the valleys, and to the places that have been made desolate and destroyed, and to the cities that have been deserted, and have become a spoil and trampling to the nations that were left round about. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, verily, in the fire of my wrath I have spoken against the rest of the nations, and against all Idumea, because they have appropriated my land to themselves for possession with joy, disregarding or having dishonored the lives of the inhabitants, to destroy it by plunder. Therefore, prophesy concerning the land of Israel, and say to the mountains, and say to the hills, and to the valleys, and to the forests, thus saith the Lord, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my wrath, and because ye have borne the reproaches of the heathen, therefore I will lift up my hand against the nations that are round about you, that they shall bear their reproach. But your grapes and your fruits, O mountains of Israel, shall my people eat, for they are hoping to come. For behold, I am toward you, and I will have respect to you, and ye shall have tilled and sown, and I will multiply men upon you, even all the house of Israel to the end. And the cities shall be inhabited, and the desolate land shall be built upon. And I will multiply men and cattle upon you, and I will cause you to dwell as at the beginning, or your beginning, and I will treat you well, as in your former times, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. And I will increase, and I will increase men upon you, even my people Israel, and they shall inherit you, and ye shall no more be bereaved of them. Thus saith the Lord God, because they said to thee, the land devoureth men, and hast been bereaved of thy nation. Therefore, thou shalt no more devour men, and thou shalt no more bereave thy nation, saith the Lord God. And there shall no more be heard against you the reproach of the nations, and ye shall no longer bear the revilings of the people, saith the Lord God. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel dwelt upon their land, and defiled it by their way, and with their idols, and with their uncleanness. And their way was before me like the uncleanness of a removed woman. Mm. So I poured out my wrath upon them. So I dispersed them among the nations and utterly scattered them through the countries. I judged them according to their way and according to their sins. And they went in among the nations, among which they went, and they profaned my holy name. While it was said of them, these are the people of the Lord, and they came forth out of his land. But I spared them for the sake of my holy name, which the house of Israel profaned among the nations, among whom they went. Therefore, say to the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord, I do not this, O house of Israel, for your sakes, but because of my holy name, which ye profaned among the nations, among whom ye went. I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the nations, which ye profaned in the midst of them. And the nations shall know that I am the Lord, when I am sanctified among you before their eyes. And I will take you from out the nations, and I will gather you out of all the lands, and I will bring you into your own land, and I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be purged from all your uncleanness and from all your idols, and I will cleanse you, and I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you, and I will take away the heart of stone of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit in you, and I will cause you to walk in my ordinances and to keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell upon the land which I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be to me a people, and I will be to you a God. And I will save you from all your uncleanness, from all your uncleannesses. And I will call for the corn and multiply it, and I will not bring famine upon you, and I will multiply the fruit of the trees and the produce of the field, that ye may not bear the reproach of famine among the nations. And ye shall remember your evil ways, and ye shall remember your evil ways, and your practices that were not good. And ye shall be hateful in your own sight for your transgressions and your abominations. Not for your sake do I do this, saith the Lord God, as it is known to you. Be ye ashamed and confounded for your ways, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, in the day wherein I shall cleanse you from all your iniquities, I will also cause the cities to be inhabited, and the waste places shall be built upon, and the desolate land shall be cultivated, whereas it was desolate in the eyes of everyone that passed by. And they shall say, that desolate has become like a that desolate land has become like a garden of delight, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are inhabited or have sat. And the nations, as many as have and the nations, as many as shall have been left round about you, shall know that I, the Lord, have built the ruined cities and planted the wasted lands. I, the Lord, have spoken and will do it. Thus saith the Lord God. Yet for this, yet for this will I be sought by the house of Israel to establish them. I will multiply them, even men as sheep, as holy sheep, as the sheep of Jerusalem in her feast. thus shall the desert cities be full of the flocks of men, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Amen. Amen to that. That's the Septuagint. So if you're talking about King James version, it should still be pretty much the same. Only so many chapters are totally different. But that's Ezekiel 36. You know, I'm never ashamed to read the scripture. Never have an issue with it. Never. And when you say what you said, you know, when you say what you said, it's just crazy because all that is kind of talking about what's going to happen to Israel right now. You know what I mean? In order for us to go into a desolate land, that means they have to get destroyed. It's all it's crazy how these dudes have literally committed suicide before our very eyes. You know, like wow, this shit is excuse. This is bananas. It's bananas, bro. It is straight bananas. No. Christians know they're backing the wrong the evil dudes. It's you got to realize either we back these evil ass Israelis or we have to capitulate and admit that some of these people who we call Negroes are the children of Israel. And if we don't want to admit that they're Negroes, then we have to go along with the lie. You get what I'm saying? It's easy. It's just wicked. There's never been a good time to stand on the lie, but when you're close to the end, man, them lies look crazier. They look crazy. They sound crazy. They are crazy. What it does is it just lets us know the level of insanity and depravity we've had to endure while being in this land. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Until it's too late, until the spirit is rendered from the body and the soul, which is the body, you know what I mean, right? The soul and the flesh, whatever, right? When we go, it's over. You know, yeah, there will be no time to repent when it's done. And I just can't help but to believe that again, to think that all those nations are going to pick Israel to stand with over standing with nation. Okay, so like this whole thing in Gaza, they committed suicide. They committed suicide. They committed suicide. 40,000 dead, at least. Because, you know, there's thousands under the rubble. There's 34,000 they'll tell us are dead. There's 8,000 more under the rubble. 40,000 dead. Do people realize there was a catastrophic earthquake last year in Turkey that killed almost 100K? That was an earthquake, though. Right on? And that was because the buildings were poorly fashioned and manufactured. Not because they were just hella old, but because whoever built them didn't have, you know what I'm saying, certain understanding, certain know-how, or the material they were using was questionable and the things weren't replaced properly. My point being this though, you've managed to kill with intentional, kill, murder in the lives of 40,000 people. And even if you wanted to say 10% of those were legit Hamas fighters, that's only 4,000. Nobody's gonna pick Israel over the whole area over there. The only logical thing to do is to get rid of them at some point. Sabotage their nukes so they can't use them, and then flood the zone with people. Like I said, those dudes they want to go down those tunnels over there. There's something once again. There's still giant freaks of natures running around over there. That ain't. I ain't never gonna stop saying that. The dudes who they can't kill who be underground, yeah, them dudes who be 8, 9, 10, 12 feet tall, yeah, them dudes, yeah, yeah. They can't just kill them all easy. Like I said, you kill the wrong one and some dumb shit gonna happen. Who knows? We might be headed to some dark times because they didn't did something they ain't got no business doing. Israel's cooked. Like you said, brother, they're cooked. They're not just, they are cooked. 40,000 dead. Got a lot of blood on their hands. And like I said, even if 10% of those were actual legit Hamas fighters, still too many innocent men, women, children. I laugh how they always say women and children. It's men, women. So men don't count anymore? The fuck out of here. That's that shit. You know what I mean? Men, women, and children. Who do you expect to provide for these women and children after this? But a man. So when you have a situation where you've murdered, maimed, mutilated whole bloodlines, wiped out, removed. The only right thing that could ever happen behind that is that you get yours the same way. But there's going to be people who want to stand over you. They don't want you to get blown up with no bomb and you die like that. They want to stand. They're gonna want to stand over your dead body to make sure it's you. Right on. You know what I'm saying? And possibly take a trophy or two. Uh, Israel fucked up. The dudes over there in the Middle East who call themselves the chosen people, they fucked up. Majorly big time. That being said, though, like I said, they're more than cooked. They're Cajun. Cajun. Before I get ready to head out of this joint, let me say this. Whether they have time to speak to the God of glory or not in the end won't matter because he's still going to judge them for the merits of their actions and the desires of their hearts. You see what I'm saying? Because what you know in your mind, okay, you knew the right thing to do, but you desired the wrong thing, and then you went off and acted on the wrong thing. So we don't want to hear about what your heart knows or what you know, or we don't hear none of that bullshit. I don't. Lord God on high knows I don't want to hear none of that. That being said, RIC is around the corner from reaching out and touching a whole bunch of these places up way more than people think. It's April right now. I give it to the middle of May, and there's going to be some ugly shit going on. It's going to be warmed way more up. Naturally, Russia's going to want to ramp up the offensive. Do people realize the real reason why all these individuals support these wars and support America support these wars is because a lot of these individuals are not from America. They don't even really pay real taxes. Right. See what I'm saying? No doubt the Chinese support the war in Ukraine. They want the American government to keep emptying their treasure chest. We dropped $1 trillion on Ukraine. And for what? For what? A trillion plus all the shit. All the weapons, all the everything. It's fucking ridiculous, man. When reaches out and touches, it's gonna be felt. It ain't gonna be like that little demonstration that they just did, where they warned America, warned Israel. Israel had ample time to ready itself and defend itself, right? The next time that Iran reaches out and touches y'all, it's gonna be because you guys retaliated and they told y'all not to. They move resources closer to you guys than y'all could ever think. Yeah, one of them. Somebody right now in Israel is a Iranian defector. Right. Born in Iran, raised in Israel type dude. Mother was Iranian, father was Iranian, other parent is a Jew, so called. Right. We're talking about some of that real shit. We're talking about guys who were Mossad agents who've been undercover for so long, they no longer see legitimacy in the Israeli government and think that Israel needs to be punished as a collective whole. The these dudes are cooked. So let's just do the math. We'll just say it's 30 to 1 right now, right? Every 30 lives of a Palestinian is worth one Israeli. We'll say that. What happens when Israel's dealing with a group of individuals who don't think that they're the chosen people? In fact, deny that the Bible's even real. What happens when Israel has to fight all by themselves? There is no United States. There is no Germany. There is no Australia or anybody like that to lend them money and to give them weapons. You guys do realize just Iran and Syria alone in a straight up real life war. No nukes involved. Just straight up fighting, beating the fuck out of Israel. I mean, pummel those niggas into nothing. It's not a bullshit ass claim. You could just use Lebanon. They for sure, Lebanon and Iran smash Israel into the fucking dust. We're talking about just straight fighting. It's over. It's not even a competition. So get ready to head out. So get ready to roll out. I say this. Don't bet on the wrong horse. Don't bet on the wrong horse. Brother Mike said they backing the wrong horse. Telling y'all, don't bet on the wrong horse, y'all. If I was a gambling man and I just didn't want to lose, I wouldn't gamble at all. I would gamble that I'm not gonna gamble. That would be the gamble. And I'll see where the chips fall for somewhere else or however they fall when they fall. But it won't be me. No. No. I refuse. I refuse to be in that position. So China's trying to get shit straight back with Taiwan. There's a contingency in Taiwan that wants to join back up, another contingency that doesn't. All this stuff is bloodline related, y'all. I can't stress that enough. Um, we're going to see some crazy stuff happen in these next handful of months. 2027, here we come. I know we're years out from there, but You'd have to have known me from years ago to understand what I was just saying. There's no need for me to explain it. I salute you, brothers and sisters. I salute you again. And I salute you once more. May tomorrow be better than today. And may your next week surely be better than your last. With that being said, I have nothing else to share with you other than the fact that whew, RIC is about to get their AT&T on.